Welcome back. I am so excited for this weekend because we are going to have a readathon. I have so many books that I've checked out from the library and on Libby that are available now, and I need to get through them. I also want to spend less time on my phone, so I can't think of a better way to replace my phone scrolling than with reading. I'm putting a few rules in place for my version of a readathon, and that is that I am allowed to sleep because I will lose my mind if I don't sleep. And I can take breaks for eating and working out. I think those are the main things I'll take breaks for. So I basically want to see if I can do a 24-hour readathon over the course of this weekend. It is Friday night, so we are going to get started. If you watched my last vlog, you know that I am in the middle of, I'm looking for it. I'm in the middle of Writers and Lovers. I will be very sad when this one is over, but I am very, very into it. So we're going to get back to it. I have discovered one thing since we last talked about this book, and I feel a little silly that I didn't know this sooner. Heart the Lover was one of my favorite reads last year. And when I was reading this, I thought, oh, how funny. There's another character in the Lake King's novel that is an author. And then I thought, oh, they have the same name. So I was doing some research, and it is, in fact, a companion to the other book, and the main character is the same. But when she started writing Heart the Lover, she wasn't planning on making it a sequel prequel to Writers and Lovers. It just kind of happened that way. So I think there are a few inconsistencies if you read this book to Heart the Lover, but they're definitely the same main character. No wonder I am loving this one so much. And the other thing that I want to be able to do during my readathon that will count to my reading hours, just because this is the way that I love reading, and I love looking up author interviews when I'm reading, or if there's books or music or anything noted in the novel, I like to be able to keep a list of that or to research them a little bit while I'm reading. So those are my little makeshift rules for my readathon. I just like to go really in depth while I'm reading, and I don't want to feel like I'm being forced to go quickly. I don't like having to fly through books because I feel like I miss things that way. And now it is time to get started. Freddy's barking. Okay, let me get my phone out so we can set a a timer. I think that's what I want, right? Or a stopwatch. Okay, I think I want a stopwatch. Not a timer, right? That would be a lot, huh, Mr. Fred? Or it could, because then it will count down. Okay, I need to set a timer. Here we go. We are on the clock. You can do it. Oh, good job. Big jump. Oh, thanks. I have to research to see if this book that she mentioned is real or not. I never know when an author is making up a book for purposes of just the plot or if it's a real one. Okay, this is a real one, and it's called Black Tickets, and in the book, she says, "Waiting on writers is my undoing. Jane Ann Phillips came in a few weeks ago, and my face flamed up every time I went to the table. Her collection, Black Tickets, is like a prayer book to me." So obviously, I want to go see what Black Tickets is. I'm definitely adding that one to my TBR. It makes me wonder if on my TBR, I want to make a separate list that are like books I pulled from other books. I don't know how to word that, but something along those lines, so I remember where I get them from. I'm also going to put a list in my phone of the books from this book. I love when books reference other books. It's one of my favorite things in novels. We have our snack. I have paused the timer. I am at about 22 and a half hours remaining, and I paused because they were just in an art museum in the book and they were looking at this painting. I can also put a photo of it up here, but I had to stop and obviously pull up the painting and look into it myself. But there was a full page of dialogue about it and about which of the three sisters in the image the main character would identify with the most, and it's little details like that that I love so much, and that I then love being able to go and research on my own outside of the book. There was also a really long paragraph I highlighted about a Faulkner novel, and one of my favorite things she said when she was describing it was, "How does a man in Mississippi in the 1920s create a character who feels more alive to a waitress in 1997, remembered with more tenderness than most of the boys she's ever known? How do you create a character like that?" Since this is a novel about her being a writer, I'm just really enjoying literary references like that sprinkled throughout. And she's also really grieving the loss of her mother. And there's a lot of very sad moments in this book, but I feel like then 4 pages later, she'll be saying something so witty that you're just laughing out loud. The theme of choosing a more practical life versus pursuing your art has been very strong in here. Like, she was just talking about one of her friends who's a lawyer, and I really liked this part too. She said, "I saw her in Three Sisters in Arcadia, and both times she completely transformed herself. I didn't recognize her as my friend Sylvie when she was on stage. I think of her in her office in Alexandria, playing the role of a lawyer, and for so many hours a day. I think of all the people playing roles, getting further and further away from themselves, from what moves them, what stirs them all up inside." So I've just been busy highlighting away in my book, and now I just realized I never cleaned the kitchen up after lunch, so I need to stay on my pause and put all of my stuff away because the kitchen looks disgusting, and Tyler's out golfing, so I want it to look normal when he returns, and also just for me to be living in a clean environment. And then we will get back to our reading. That is my little update for now. 2 more things I forgot. If you watched my last video, you know that I had just had, I don't know if you can see them. Yes, you can. I had just had some hyperpigmentation spots on my face, lasered, and that is what that is on my face. I can't wear makeup for 5 days and have to keep Aquaphor on them for the 5 days. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is if you have not read this book or Heart the Lover, definitely read this one first, because reading Heart the Lover first would kind of cause there to be a bit of a spoiler in this one. It's so weird though, because it was not heavily marketed as being a related novel, and I don't think Goodreads used to say, right now it says Casey Peabody #1 and Casey Peabody #2, but I don't think it always said that. So when I read Heart the Lover, I had no idea that I should have read this one first. But it's not enough that it would ruin this book, just if you have the chance, do it that way. Now I'm gonna clean up the kitchen. dinner is here. We are still on somewhat of our takeout journey since I'm still recovering a little bit from being sick and getting everything back in order. After that, we are paused. 21 and a half-ish hours left. Tyler's looking at me like that's crazy because I didn't tell him we're doing a reading vlog, a reading marathon this weekend. Are you participating? Mm-hmm. Cool. The book's getting very good. The love triangle is becoming a lot more apparent, and there's one man who is older, more stable, an established author. He has kids. His first wife passed away, and there is another man who is younger, more quirky, maybe a little bit less reliable. He is a teacher, but also an aspiring writer. So that is another big theme that is playing out. It seems like Lily King loves a love triangle. Okay. I switched my order from the last time we got Goop. This is my favorite salad there. It is the kale and Brussels sprout one with chicken, avocado, apple cider vinaigrette, and the pasta was not very good last time. It wasn't cooked, so we got pizza this time. All of their pizza is gluten-free. Tyler doesn't really like their pizza, but the pasta was so disappointing last time. He agreed. Oh no, oh no. Here's the pizza. Friday night pizza night. Hello, we are about 80% of the way through Writers and Lovers. I am still loving it, and that means we will definitely be finishing it soon. There are 4 or 5 books that I need to make my way through, so I don't know which one I'm going to be picking next, but I took my gym break this morning, and now we're going to take the dogs on a moke ride. They are so excited. They know the word moke now. It is so funny, and they expect a ride on Saturday and Sunday. They like know when it's the weekend, and we're gonna go do that and grab lunch with them, and then it will be back to reading. You want to go? Oh, Gigi, you really want to go? You excited? Yes.
Whoa. I didn't even put sugar in it. I don't like it. Oh, gee.
Oh, does Freddie want some? Yum! That was juicy.
I think
A necessity. Hi, pretty girl. I will do a mini haul of what we got. I got a mango matcha. I love the matchas from the Spicy Bean Lab. They are delicious. So good. Tyler got the strawberry one with vanilla foam, and his is better than mine. He ordered a lot better than me. I don't know where his is. And then we went to Mercado and got frozen chicken enchiladas, which we will have for dinner tonight. I love that place. Everything is organic, and they have a lot of gluten-free options. So I like doing that if I'm not going to be cooking but I still want to eat at home because it's all locally made by a chef. And then we got these tortilla chips because we also got guac for dinner, and their guac is delicious. And I don't know about this, but I know tinned fish is having a moment, and I'm too scared to try sardines, but I got yellowfin tuna belly fillets, so I'll be trying that at some point. And we got a little salad to go with dinner today too, but you'll see that later when we eat. And I need to shower really fast because the clock is ticking and I have not been reading, and I need to get back to it. It is time to resume. I have been listening to an audiobook while I've been doing some other stuff, and I'm liking it so far. It's called Raising Hare. It is a memoir. It is a book about the author's unexpected bond with a wild hare she rescued during lockdown, exploring themes of freedom, nature, and human-animal relationships. I struggle with audiobooks. I just really like being immersed in reading a book, and I think auditory is sometimes hard for me, so I don't feel like I'm as immersed in it. And I really like doing things one at a time. Like if I'm cooking, I like to be cooking. If I'm going on a walk, I don't like to bring my phone. I just like to be on the walk. And so I think a lot of times, instances where I would maybe listen to an audiobook, I'm just not wanting to do that. But if I had less time to read physical books, I could definitely see why I would gravitate more towards audiobooks, and that is what I'm doing this weekend. And I think Raising Hare seems like it is really good for audio because it doesn't seem like one where I'm wanting to take a bunch of notes or have to pause it a lot. I tried to start 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals as an audiobook and immediately realized that is one that I would need to be highlighting and annotating and would want a physical copy of, so then I switched to Raising Hare, and this one is going much better. And I'm just loving the nature aspect of it so far. I love animals and nature, so that has been good. But it is time to get back to Writers and Lovers, finally. Another book I must add to my list. This has happened so many times in this book, but it is Woodcutters by Thomas Bernard, and she's talking about a book that is about art and becoming an artist and all of the ways it ruins people, actually. And one of the things that she says, the main character, but I'm hoping this is also what Lily King thinks. One of the things that she loves about Bernard in the book is that he manages to simulate consciousness, and it's contagious because while you're reading it, it rubs off on you and your mind starts working like that for a while. The reverberation for me is what is most important about literature, not themes or symbols or the rest of that crap they teach in high school. So now I need to look up that book and see if that would be accurate to real life too, and not just the main character. But that sounds very interesting. I feel like this is cool too because they're talking about how she would teach an English class if she was given the chance, and she says she would want kids to talk and write about how the book makes them feel, what it reminded them of, and if it changed their thoughts about anything. To have them keep a journal and free write after they read each assignment and ask, what did this make you think about, and avoid questions that are regurgitated like, is this about man versus nature, because those will pull you out of the story, and she wants to push you further in so you can feel everything that the author is trying to create for you. So I feel like that is a nice thought to just keep with me as I read, but I think that I do that as I read. But I really love this whole section. I need to look up that book. I just have to know if it was the same as what they were saying in the story. Okay, it seems to be very much the same, and I am adding that to my TBR. I'm trying very hard not to overdo my talk of the literary references in here because I feel like I'm being annoying, but it is very fun to read this book for that reason. I think we might pick something lighter for the next book though. I just realized in the back of this novel, there's also a reading group guide. So it's definitely a good book club book. And there is also a suggestions for further reading, which is nice. Woodcutters, which I was just talking about, is on there. Oh, so is Normal People. That's funny. I kind of thought Sally Rooney is the same vibe as this. Okay, I don't want to read more of that in case I accidentally spoil the book for myself by reading a reading guide question that is too far down. But I'm so happy there's a reading list. Okay, we'll look at that in a second. I can't believe I'm almost done with this book. So sad. We are officially done with the first book. I loved it so much. I feel like that is not coming as a surprise after everything I've said about it. One thing I don't think I've talked about that is done really well in this novel is the description of having anxiety. She writes about it in such a real way, and one of the times she's talking about writing the main character in the book, she says you don't write emotions and say this person is sad, you describe them as a physical feeling because we feel emotions. So when she's describing the anxiety, she's talking about how it feels like there's bees inside of her, and the descriptions felt very human and real, and watching the main character navigate such an uncertain time in her life was something that I could relate to a lot. I loved the ending. It was perfect. It came together so well. I cried at the ending. I felt very connected to the character. So I think I just felt so happy for her and for the journey that she'd been on. I really enjoyed the section at the back, which, what was it called? It was basically an essay that Lily King has done at the back. It's talking a lot about her experience writing, and I highly recommend reading that. But she's talking about how art comes from the unconscious and how she's following her intuition and she's having to shut out the inner critic when she's creating. And I think I've seen a lot of my favorite authors talk about writing in this way. Usually when I get done reading a book, I need to sit with it before I can fully gather my thoughts. So I feel like I haven't sat with this one long enough yet. I just wanted to update that I was done. I also like to go on and read a lot of the reviews, look up any articles or interviews from the author, although there was that essay in the back, so I might not need to do as much research as normal, but I feel like I just really like to let it sink in, and I need to finish making my list of all of the books that I highlighted that were mentioned. I will share that too. Need to decide which ones I want to add to my Goodreads. I'm just a very slow reader when it comes to things like that, but for purposes of this video, we're going to pick the next book, and I think I'm definitely going to circle back to this though. I don't think that I have fully articulated everything that I want to say on it. It was just so good. I loved it. But I have to show you the next book options. And Tyler is going to try to read with me tonight, I think. We still don't really know what type of books he's liked. I feel like anything I've picked out for him, he hasn't really been able to get into. So I don't know. I would love it if he loved reading just like a fraction of how much I love reading. But let's see. The ones that I am deciding between are, we have Heavenly Bodies, which is a romantasy, and I think that would be good following Writers and Lovers because romantases I normally read a lot quicker. I am not being as introspective in them. I don't think I'm taking as many notes normally or highlighting or looking up references. So I think that could be fun. I also haven't read a romantasy in a really, really long time, and I do like adding in a few throughout the year to switch things up. And then I also have Tress and the Emerald Sea, which is a Brandon Sanderson novel. I have never read any of his books. I would like to read one sometime, so I think that could be good. And then we also have Sisters in Yellow, which is by an author that I don't know how to pronounce their name, but I have been very interested in reading this book, or I think their other novel is called Breasts and Eggs, but it seems a bit more literary fiction, one that would be maybe more similar to the experience of reading Writers and Lovers, where I'm going to want to dig into the themes more and spend more time with the book. So I feel like reading it right after this one would maybe not be good. So I'm definitely between the romantasy or the fantasy. And I think we're gonna go romancy. It's also due back on Libby sooner than the fantasy. And that is really what's making my main choice there. So let's get started. I might take some time in this video to go back though and do some of the research that I want to do on writers and lovers, because I think that counts to my readathon hours because that's part of my reading process. I'm a little nervous to be doing a romantasy because I feel like I have not really enjoyed the ones that I have tried recently, but this one has pretty good reviews. I think it's been on my TBR for quite a while. It looks like my mom has started it. We all share a Kindle account. I can see someone is 14% of the way in, so I should text her and make sure she's liking it so far. So normally we have pretty similar taste. I don't know. Should I do the Brandon Sanderson one instead? I'm gonna start this one and then I'm gonna text my mom and see. Okay, it is time to go back to my reading. Here we go. Except all I can do is think about writers and lovers. I feel like I'm bad at readathons because I'm a slow mover and I need to like sit with that for a minute. I'm gonna sit with it for a minute before I move on. I need to look up reviews and just see if everyone loved it as much as me. And then I will start this. We actually decided we needed a snack break. Hello, Gigi. Did you hear us? Okay, it's time for dinner. I have been reading Heavenly Bodies, but I think I'm gonna have to switch to Trust in the Emerald Sea. Yes, I will. It might just have too many common tropes. I'm not sure about the dialogue. I don't know, but I felt like the world building could have been cool because it was celestial, and it was based on astrology somewhat, it seemed, and maybe Greek mythology, and that was all cool, but I don't know. We're gonna do the Brandon Sanderson one instead. So I feel like I lost a little bit of time by starting one and switching, but that is okay. I have so many books on my TBR, so I am trying to be better about being more selective or moving on when I'm not sure. That was crazy. I think I gotta go this way. You smell the tuna? You want tuna? Are you enjoying the tuna, Coco? I am bringing you along as I continue my attempt at a readathon for one of my favorite new weekend things Tyler and I like to do. It lets us combine two things we both really like separately and do them together, and that is I bring a book while he golfs, and at most golf courses you can pay a little bit extra. It's called a spectator fee, so you get to ride in the golf cart while someone plays, and I like it because, well, I get to hang out with Tyler, but also I really love being outside and in nature, and golf courses really are in nature, and there's always really cute animals on the course. Like, I feel like we always see a bunch of bunnies and ducks and geese, so it just gets me out of the house and in a different environment. I'm a bit of a homebody, so I feel like it's a good thing for me to get out every once in a while. Okay, I have an update on the books too. I also stopped reading Tress and the Emerald Sea, but fear not, I think that I have found the book that I will stick with. So I gave up on Heavenly Bodies, and then I was like, surely Tress in the Emerald Sea, it's loved by so many people, this will be great. And I think I need to try a different Brandon Sanderson novel first. I had read that that one was a good introduction to his work, and it was easier to get into than some of the other fantasy worlds because maybe it's less complex, I think. But it is more of an adult fairy tale inspired by The Princess Bride, and I think it's just leaning a little bit too cozy for me. Feels very whimsical. I admire the creativity in it. I know a lot of people love it. I can see why, but I did not think that it was going to hold my interest. One thing I think I need to come to terms with for me is that if something is described as cozy, I probably need to stay away from it. That just seems to be something that is not for me. I have a book on my Kindle that I had been wanting to read forever because I was like, okay, third time is a charm. I need to get it right this time, and I really think this book has to be 5 stars for me. I have been putting off reading it. I don't know why. I think because I know it will be so good, so then I'll be sad when it's over, and it has such high ratings on Goodreads. It is The Correspondent. I'm really, really, really excited for this one. I have definitely been drawn to more reflective, introspective reads lately, and this whole novel is told throughout a series of letters. There might be emails too, but it is told throughout correspondence that the main character is sending to people. She is a 73-year-old woman who is, I believe, reflecting on life, and it kind of comes together as a puzzle as you read these different letters that she's sending out. And she also writes letters to some of the literary greats like Joan Didion in it, talking about her thoughts on their latest books. So I think it will have that piece that I always love in books too, of having literature references. And I was reading more about this author, and this was actually her debut novel. She had written a bunch of novels before this one, but this was her first published one, and it just took off last year, mainly by word of mouth. And I think that is so incredible. She's 39 years old. When I was reading about Lily King too, I believe that she said she did not write her first novel, or I don't know if it was write her first novel or have her first one published until she was 36. I always feel inspired when I read about people who are my age or slightly older than me who are still pursuing their dreams or kind of having like their moment at that time period in their life. It always gives me a bit of hope, because I think one thing I tend to be hard on myself about, which I shouldn't do, but is that I feel like I'm kind of behind in life, or that I'm in like a liminal space. I think that's why I related so much to Casey in Writers and Lovers. That book was very nice because at the end of it, I think that she had kind of accepted that there was this duality in life, and she didn't have to pick between like the stability or the creativity. She could kind of find both and really just start being present and living her own life. So I love that message, and I cannot wait to see what is in store for me with this one. Tyler is at the driving range now hitting golf balls, so I told him I needed to chat with you all, and then I would catch up to him, and then I'm gonna chill in the golf cart for a little bit with my book. And also readathons. I need to figure out how I like to do them, because honestly, I don't know if having a clock going while I'm reading makes it feel as enjoyable. It's kind of putting a little bit of pressure on it. One thing that could help is if I actually just tried to do it over the course of 24 hours. books. I don't know if I'd like that though, because I don't want to feel like I'm like being forced to fly through books. And the other thing is doing it during a weekday maybe, or when Tyler's out of town, because this weekend I found myself struggling to decide between wanting to hang out with him or read, but I was like committed to this readathon, so then I was like, oh, what do I do? But today we have a perfect little joint outing going on, but I also think if I do the type I'm doing right now, doing it from Friday night to Monday morning is good for me, because I definitely need those extra windows of time to get everything in and still live my life. I still have about 14 hours left, and I can't believe that I have started and stopped 2 novels after my first read. So we're really technically kind of only on book 2, but it's also kind of book 4. Wow, I just talked for a really long time. I'm gonna go find Tyler now. I could yap about books forever. So, okay, so... Hi Tyler. There's geese over there, but I don't know if you can see them. It's so cute. There's like a bunny. That was fun, and my book is finally a good one. Thank goodness. I love it so much. We were going to cook tonight, but we're both starving, and Tyler has to travel for work this week. So we're gonna have a date night before he goes out of town. The book is making me want to start writing letters myself. And the other thing I forgot to mention from the interview I was reading with the author was that she wrote this book as a palate cleanser just for herself. She wasn't even planning to try to have it published. And I feel like you can really feel, I don't know, a lot of authenticity or honesty in the book, and I'm just really loving it. Well, I had to start my morning with some caffeine and made my tea because I stayed up entirely too late reading The Correspondent, and I woke up and finished it before I ever got out of bed this morning. So, update on the readathon, which thank you for letting me go until Monday with the readathon. I definitely could not have done it just over the course of the weekend. We needed the extra night and morning. I have about 6.5 hours left. So we have a little bit of a ways to go, but we'll definitely be able to finish today. I think reading while Tyler is out of the house, I get so much more reading done than when he is here, which is totally fine. I very much enjoy his company. Just made the readathon aspect a little bit challenging. I loved this. I thought I would from the very beginning, and I did. The aspect of telling the whole book throughout letters and emails was so unique. I haven't read anything that was fully written in that way before, and I really enjoyed how with the letters you were realizing how the main character was connected to these people throughout the novel and getting glimpses into her past. And it really did feel like, I said this earlier, but putting a puzzle together one letter at a time. She had a very distinct personality. I would say she was definitely a bit eccentric, and the way she wrote her letters and her emails was in a way where I could really picture her. She reminded me a lot of one woman that I know from home. So I thought the author did an excellent job with her character, and the whole story was really beautiful. It was both sad but hopeful. I liked that the character was in her 70s and showing that you can still have growth and you can still have healing even during the quote winter phase of her life, as the book would call it. And she was really reflecting on her life and some of her regrets too, and coming to terms with those things, but also seeing how there was still time left to make some of them right. There were a ton of literary references, and I mean a ton. So I was keeping a note in my phone, but last night and this morning when I was reading in bed, and especially last night when I was so tired, I was not updating the list. So I'll update that before I post the video and make sure we have the full list. But like, there were a lot of books mentioned. And then I started wanting to write down who was reading them, because I feel like in Writers and Lovers, I wanted to read every book the main character was mentioning. And in this book, maybe not the case. There were some characters at the end of a lot of her letters, they would each reference what they were reading. And so depending on who the character was, I would maybe know if I would want to read it in the future or not. But I did want to look up a lot of these. Some of them were very familiar to The Lighthouse or Pride and Prejudice or Rebecca. Some of them I hadn't heard of before. Some of them were more recent popular novels like The Girl and the Dragon Tattoo. So there was a wide range in there, and I would love to sit down one week and read through the novels in my favorite books. I think that would be so much fun. So that is one of the reasons we're keeping this list. I did cry at the end of the book. So I've cried at the end of my last 2 books I've read. And when deciding what to read today, so hard to follow those 2 books up. They're definitely going to be 2 of my favorites from the year. Writers and Lovers is definitely one of my favorite books of all time. I have a few things on Libby. I think we might go in a different route, but in case you have opinions on these books, I at least wanted to tell you what I have so I can be swayed to read them or not read them before they are due back. So these are the books that I have right now on Libby that I'm deciding between. I have Deeper Than the Ocean, which is a historical fiction novel, dual timeline, and it takes place in Cuba and the Canary Islands in the past, and then New York and Key West in the present. And it's written by a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, but I believe this is her first fiction novel that she's had published. So that one looked interesting. There's just not as many reviews out there, so I felt like that could be a risk. And one book I've wanted to read forever is Welcome to the Hunam Dong Bookshop. And this is a genre that is called, I think, healing fiction. It is a Korean translated novel, and it is meant to be for book lovers. What I've read about this though is that it is not necessarily something that has a heavy plot at all. It's very reflective, like great for bedtime if you want to read a chapter. And so I didn't think that it would be great for finishing up the rest of my reading hours today, but I might read a chapter or 2 of it. I feel like I'm really going to like this, which is funny because I recently said that I don't like cozy, but I think that I don't like whimsical, cozy magic fantasy, but I think something that is more healing and reflective cozy I would really enjoy, especially if it revolves around books. Okay, and then the other one that I have is Red City, and it said this was like The Godfather meets Romeo and Juliet and was really great for fans of V.E. Schwab, which I am a fan of. But my hesitancy here was if it would lean too much into common romance tropes, because I found that that's something recently that I just can't do. And I think maybe it's because after reading more, maybe I'm just spotting them or they feel too familiar that they aren't as exciting to read anymore. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Still trying to figure that out, but that was my hesitation. But everything about it does look really interesting. It looks like it has a great premise and is unique, and I think the world it's set in would be really cool. So those are kind of the ones that are on my should I or shouldn't I list. But the one that I think I have settled on, and this was a big decision, I couldn't decide because how do you follow up 2 amazing books? It is Light and Thread. I thought going a totally different direction and picking a nonfiction to kind of break everything up would be great. And since I love books and storytelling so much, I'm always very interested in how an author's mind works. Honestly, how any creative's minds work, how they were inspired, what they're like. I don't know, it just really fascinates me. This is from the winner of the 2024 Nobel Prize, and it is her first work of nonfiction that has been translated into English. She's the author of The Vegetarian, which I haven't read, but is on my list to read. And I shared this in one of my recent videos when I was reading a part of her acceptance speech from when she won the Nobel Prize is what really drew me to this book. And I think it's going to be very beautiful, but it also has just journal entries from her garden. So it is a very unique compilation, it seems like. So that's where we're going to go. We might switch to the bookshop one before the video's over. I can't decide, but I think this will be a very nice place to land for now. It's an exciting time. There are 3 hours remaining on the clock. I finished Light and Thread. I really enjoyed the first half. Han Kang was going pretty in depth about the questions she was asking herself as she was writing each of her novels and why she writes them. I am looking forward to her next one. The themes for why she's written her novels and the questions she's asked seem very intense and heavy, so I definitely would want to be in the right headspace if I were to read any of them. Like, for example, I'll just tell you what she said about The Vegetarian. It says she was staying with some painful questions. Can a person ever be completely innocent? To what depths can we reject violence? What happens to one who refuses to belong to the species called human? And as she finished her last novel, the realization she had was that writing simply pushed me toward life. And she goes on to say, and if then life was passed on to me in this way, a kind of bonus gift with purchase. Shouldn't I I now harness the force of that life to move forward? Shouldn't I be writing things that speak of life while life yet remains? If permitted, I would like my next novel to set forth from this place. I'm really excited to see what the next topic and premise of her novel will be. The second half of the novel was all about her garden diary from when she purchased her first home, and she's basically journaling every day about her garden. And I did like that section, but the first half definitely spoke to me more. I will say, I am planning on doing a raised garden bed, and my dad's gonna help me next time he visits to put all of that together. So that part was inspiring me with what I'll be able to notice and learn from that process, and having, I think, a closer connection just to nature by doing that. And I did start, just barely, we've started the bookshop one, and I think I really love it. So this is teaching me that I should not say that I don't like a certain genre, like cozy, as a sweeping statement, because I really do think it is very book specific. But I have a good feeling about this one, and I'm feeling really tired, like I said. So I feel like this will be a nice low-key thing for right now. I was gonna do another nonfiction, but I think that I'm too sleepy for that, but maybe I'll feel differently in an hour. I also forgot one thing that I want to put on screen, just the excerpt of, is she shared her writing routine that she had when she wrote her latest novel, We Do Not Part, and that was also one of my favorite things that I highlighted in this book. There's also nice pictures throughout the book. I would say this is a nice one to read a physical copy of versus having it on an e-reader. I am reporting that there are only 30 minutes left. I'm almost there. I'm done. That was a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'm glad I tried it. I am really tired. I need to go to bed. I can't believe that I stayed up that late. I feel like I read a lot of good books during that. Tried some I didn't like as much, pivoted. I am still in the middle of the bookshop one. I think if you love books or bookstores and very bookish books, and you're okay with a very slow plot, you will like this. It's definitely one for the book lovers. If not, I would wait. You might think that it is maybe too slow. At times it does feel a little bit simple. I don't want to use the word preachy either, but sometimes there's a lot of life lessons built into this, but they are written in a very straightforward manner, which I don't mind. I could just see some people maybe not appreciating that as much, but I'm liking it. It's very cozy. I think it will be a nice one to end on. I think I will keep this one for a bedtime read and then start something else that will require a little bit more attention for a daytime read. But thank you so much for hanging out with me and reading with me all weekend long / into Monday. I look forward to seeing you next week.